Ejemplo, Lady Percival, would you like a spot of sherry before supper? Colonel Moresby, just a drop, if you please. I've had a good deal of walking today. Lady Percival, there's also a handful of biscuits left in the tin. Shall I bring them? Colonel Moresby, only if you've any left for yourself. I wouldn't take the last. Verbose, to ask for a bit of help, to offer a drop of milk, to bring a spoonful of jam, to pour a pot of tea, to receive a great deal of attention, to speak with modicum of restraint, to serve with a touch of grace, to reply with scarcely any hesitation. Orations. 1. Would you like a spot of tea before the guests arrive? 2. She added a pinch of salt and a touch of thyme to the stew. 3. There wasn't much conversation during supper. 4. I noticed a bit of dust upon the mantelpiece. 5. They brought a good deal of luggage for just a weekend. 6. We had a great many letters from Aunt Beatrice this month. 7. There's hardly any sugar left in the bowl. 8. He possesses a modicum of charm, but little wit. 9. Could you fetch a handful of napkins from the cupboard? 10. There was only a scrap of fabric left from her gown. 11. I prefer a small slice of cake. Thank you. 12. The pantry held a considerable supply of dried herbs. 13. They drank a bottle of claret by the fire. 14. She used a dash of rose water in her perfume. 15. I brought several books and a tin of biscuits. 16. There was a surplus of candles, but a shortage of matches. 17. A pile of linens lay folded on the sideboard. 18. He requested a cup of cocoa and a moment of silence. 19. They had more guests than chairs, but made do with grace. 20. We shall serve a plate of scones and a jug of cream. An afternoon with limited provisions. It was on a blustery Sunday in March that Miss Honoria Langley received an unexpected visit from her cousin George. The pantry, alas, held little in the way of grand provision. There was only a modest loaf of bread, a scrap of cheese, and a spot of strawberry conserve left from the morning tea. Still, Honoria, ever the paragon of hospitality, resolved to offer what modicum of refreshment she could muster. "Would you care for a spot of tea, George?" she asked, already reaching for the earthenware pot on the stove. "There's a drop of milk left, though it may not be quite fresh." George, never one to make fuss, smiled. "I've had a good deal of walking. Dear cousin, anything warm would be a blessing." She prepared the tea with care, slicing a thin piece of bread and spreading it with a bit of conserve. From a side tin, she extracted a handful of walnuts, placing them beside the bread, as though it were a formal repast. The serviette, though worn, was pressed neatly in the silver teaspoon, though only lightly polished, gleamed in the muted light of the drawing-room. "There's been a great many rumors about Lord Featherwit's estate," George began, nibbling on the walnut. "They say he's sold a good deal of his land to strangers from the city." "Indeed?" replied Honoria, adding a spoonful of sugar to her cup. "How unfortunate! That family once had a wealth of honor, not merely riches." The rain pattered steadily against the windows, and the fire crackled with a modest heat. There was no lavish feast, no silver tray laden with confections, but there was warmth and conversation, and a touch of civility that no abundance could replace. Later, as the clock chimed 4, Honoria offered a slice of dried apple and a small square of almond cake, remnants of Thursday's baking. George accepted them with a grateful nod, noting that a little kindness went further than a great deal of luxury. When he rose to leave, she pressed a tiny parcel into his hand, a jar of jam she'd been saving for guests. "Take it," she insisted gently. "It's but a bit, but it may sweeten your journey." As he stepped into the rain, Honoria returned to the hearth with a sense of quiet satisfaction. She may have had few provisions, but she had offered a generous spirit, and that, perhaps, was the finest measure of all.